Hey everybody, I just wanted to hop on and show you guys how to create the 6 cards in your card kit that you picked up from us earlier or had delivered or mailed to you. So I'm going to start with the trickiest one. None of them are hard, but this one does have the most steps and will be the most time consuming, so I'm going to get it out of the way first and then everything else will just seem like a breeze. But again, none of them are difficult. Everything's been pre-cut and it's really just assembly. So for this one, you're going to need this piece of paper. It's got one, two little perforated score lines pre-cut into it. And then this bag with these like funny looking shapes sticking out the bottom. First, I'm going to take the rectangular piece of white cardstock and I'm just going to fold all the score lines. There's no side A or B with this paper. It's a smooth cardstock. So it doesn't matter what direction you choose, but once you pick a direction, fold them all the same way. So I've decided to fold mine up, and so I'm just going to fold all of mine up. And what we're doing is creating sort of like almost like a box or like a casing for our card. This is what's going to allow us the space inside of this card to fit all of our gorgeous little goodies inside of there. So once you've done that, it should look like this. It just, folds nice and tight closed, little hollow center, and then you can just set that off to the side. Next, we'll pull out all the products in our goodie bag, and I'm going to start with these 2 big pieces here. So I'm just going to take one, it doesn't matter which direction I start, and I'm just going to accordion fold it. There's 4 score lines in this one. Same thing, they're just little tick perforation marks that have been cut into it. And so I've just accordion folded that, including the tab on the back. Once I've done that, I can just chop off that little extra bit of the tab that sticks over, just so you're not going to see it when we glue it down. Then I'm going to take my other one and accordion fold it in the opposite direction of the one I just did. So they're gonna sit opposite one another just like that. Same thing, I'm just gonna chop the little extra piece off of that. Perfect. Once I've done that, there's really only one difference between these 2 papers, apart from the fact that they're now folded opposite one another. Both of them in the center fold have a slit cut into them. One, the slit's coming from the top, the other, it's coming from the bottom. So I am just going to sort of straighten that fold so it's easier to maneuver, and put the one on top of the other. So we're gonna join the 2. Once I've done that, I just have to now go back and reverse those folds in the back so that they still look opposite one another, because we're trying to create sort of a cascading element to these pieces. And so I want to achieve that again by changing up those back folds now that we have combined the 2 pieces. All right, so now I have one solid, well, not solid, but connected, one piece. You can see it shimmies and shifts. So what I like to do before I actually glue it into the card to keep it a little more stable is make it into one piece. And to do that, I'm going to look for this big house-shaped piece of white snowflake paper, and I'm going to glue it. It's going to go tucked into this back pocket back here. And there is going to be white space around the edge, but I'm going to just glue it into that pocket. And the way that I find easiest to do that, you have it laying flat, you choose a side, it doesn't really matter which one, and you flip it open. And I'm going to apply glue here and glue it down to this half. Then I'm going to wrap this card around and glue the other half, okay? Just keeping in mind that you don't want to push down too hard until you're actually confident that it's in place, because there's plenty of time and ways in which for you to mess that up a little bit in the process of getting it stuck down. So I'm just going to gently stick it down so that I can lift it up if I want to. I also recommend not using score tape just for this part, because score tape is quite a permanent adhesive. And if you do mess it up a little bit, there will be no way you will undo it to fix it, or at least it won't be easy. So I want to make sure it's going to lay flat. And then I'm going to stick it down. Flip it over, looks nice. Then I'm going to gently push on it to make sure that it's going to still lay flat. I don't feel any bumps or awkward, you know, things. So I'm going to go ahead and push that down real good, because that means I did a good job. All right, once I've done that, now it is a much more solid and sturdy piece to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and attach it to this base of the card that we had created earlier. How I do that, I'm not, oh, there's hair here. I'm not putting adhesive here. I am not putting adhesive here. I am only putting adhesive down the spine, only on these two flaps. Okay, I'm just going to pick one thicker piece of score tape, just go down the center of both of them. You can do whatever you like. And then it's going to fit nicely and perfectly into the center of this card we just created. So it's going to sit, the bottom is going to sit flush with the bottom. The sides are going to sit inside the inside score line. There's two score lines. You can't have it crossing over either of the score lines, because otherwise your card won't close. So you have to make sure it's tucked inside the score lines and flush along the bottom. If you do, your card will fold nice and tight. Everything will be contained. Oops. And that is what it will look like. Awesome. So once we've done that, I am going to start decorating. So the last piece of white cardstock that we have, we can set it off to the side for now, but just so you know, it is for your belly band. So just set that off to the side. I'm just gonna find a scrap piece of white paper for a connector. I did not put this piece in your kit because you can just use a scrap of anything. I just found a yellow piece of paper. I'll prove that it really doesn't matter what it is. So this is a yellow piece of printer paper, super flimsy, super thin. You're just gonna put some adhesive along the front of it, glue it to the inside back of your front piece, set that down and fold the other one on top as well, because that is just going to connect these so that they're like one nice solid piece. Crease it a little bit, and there we go. So now we've glued this piece in, but we haven't scored it or anything. So now that it's glued into the card and it's stable and exactly where it should be, I'm gonna go ahead and fold it up as well. So I've just taken my hands, lifted the sides up and creased it. You can work it a couple times. You just don't want it to have resistance when you're, you know, whoever you give this to is opening it. Now I'm gonna glue this second little house in. Okay, same thing. I'm going to crease it after I've stuck it down. All right, and now it's like a paper puzzle where, excuse me, each of these pieces just is cut and made to perfectly fit on top of one of these pieces. So it's just a matter of finding the piece that fits the spot. So all of these pieces are pre-cut to exactly the right size to go where they belong. So I'm actually just gonna run, I forgot the demo in the back. I'm gonna quickly go run and grab it, and I'm just gonna let you look at the demo for decoration's sake, because there's no point in you guys sitting here and watching me decorate a card for 5 minutes. So just one moment, I'll get the demo. So for our demo, how you will decorate the inside is just like this. So in these back pieces, you have the light blue snowflake, and they are cut to fit perfectly. Out on these edges, you have the dark blue snowflakes. We've done the 2 white little house-shaped background pieces, and then it's just all of these that have been, you know, cut at angles to fit the specific spots, and you sort of just like lift the flap and glue it down. Then for the embellishments, if you want to take a picture or a screenshot of this moment where I'm holding it up so you can sort of see where everything goes, or just pause and adhere all your elements down. Once you've done that, you can close that, and you'll see that we have the 2 wood grain pieces here. So those can get glued onto the front of your album. They'll go down just like that. And then the blue circle. And it obviously is only getting glued to one side, because if you glued it down on both sides, then you wouldn't be able to open your book. It would be glued shut. So you're just going to put adhesive. It doesn't matter which side. I chose to put it on the left-hand side. You could do whichever you prefer. But you will only put adhesive on the back of one half of it and stick it down. If you look closely, you'll see that I screwed that up. I accidentally got adhesive over the edge. Couldn't get it off, and so I just had to hide the adhesive with some cardstock, because otherwise it would have stuck to my cover and then no one could have opened my book. Once you've done that, we're going to take this piece of white paper. I haven't pre-scored it or anything like that. We're just going to manhandle our way into this one, and I've laid it over the top of my book, and then I just sort of fold it over the edge, fold it over the edge, and then you'll see it's met in the back with a little bit of overlap. And I'm just gonna glue that together with some score tape. I'm using 1/8 inch for this because it doesn't have a ton of overlap. But that's plenty. Oops. All right, and so that will be the base of our belly band. Then you're going to take this wreath and these 2 trees, and I built it up on top of my album, like while the belly band is around my album, so I could see where these elements, I'll show you, line up on top of my circle, like how it's going to look when it's actually assembled and closed and I'm handing it off to the person it belongs to. So I made sure that, you know, my wreath sat nicely on top of the circle, and I liked the layout and the look of all the embellishments together. The only other thing to note is to make sure that you only put adhesive on these elements where it's going to touch the belly band. So same as our half circle, if you put adhesive anywhere over here and over here, it's going to stick to the cover of your book and tear your beautiful papers, or just people won't be able to even open it in the first place. So just make sure the adhesive's only going in this space here, so it sticks to the belly band but not to your book. And that is our first card complete. So I'll move these items off to the side, and then we'll get to work on our second card. So next up, I'm going to do this card, which is featuring one of my brand new lines that I released at the event on Saturday. This one's called Christmas Village. Super cute colors and elements. So we have, you know, some cute little borders and pattern papers cut up and some ephemera, and then we have this white piece of paper. So the very first thing we're going to do is fold it in half. It is perforated all the way across on both of these little elements and in the center, so we're going to fold it in half along those perforation marks. Now all the rest of these folds, we are not folding these outer edges. That's the only place we fold these outside edges. But in here in the center, we're gonna kind of try and separate it with our fingers a little bit so it's easier to work with. So I'm just kind of pinching it like that. And there's a perforation line right where these slits begin. And I'm going to fold that down. Okay, then I'm going to take the next one and fold it up. We're just going to accordion style the center of this card. Down, up, and down. Okay, once that's done, you should have a card that just looks like a C or a U, and this little pleat in the middle. Once we've done that, we're going to take this piece of paper and glue it right to the center of the front of the card. It's cut to fit, so it's pretty simple, straightforward. You just glue it down. Then I'm gonna get my demo to show you the rest. So this is how it's decorated, the layers. My suggestion, I glued this tag down mostly because as the demo sitting at the front of the store, I didn't want this to either go missing or keep falling over with people walking by, touching it and bumping it all the time. But for you giving it as a gift, after you decorate your tag, feel free to not glue it onto your card, and it can just sit loose as an addition that people can take on and off. It can have your sentiment written on the back, and that they can, you know, remove the tag, read the sentiment, and then set the tag back on the card. Or glue it down, it's totally up to you. But the way that I decorated the tag was I popped the snow globe here with pop dots. Then I popped the tree off to the side of it. And then the snowman went along the front. All popped, so it's 3 layers of popping. Once you've done that, you can take your 2 little house borders and glue them down. The one in the center, I just put a strip of score tape along this center pleat, fed the house through, and stuck it down wherever you choose. There's lots of extra space on this strip, so you can sort of line it up with the houses and elements that you like. And then the front one as well, you'll just line up to where you like it and stick it down. These front ones, I did use pop dots to stick up, so it is sitting dimensionally on the card. And that is another card complete. Very cute, beautiful colors, fun idea. I like the idea of the loose tag, a little bit interactive, looks cute on a shelf. And that is your card. Oh, I guess, sorry, you do have one more step. Once you've lined up where you want these, you are gonna have to take scissors and trim the excess off. And then you'll have these elements for another project if you would like. And then you are done that project. Next we can do Alice. We can do the Alice in Wonderland one. So she's got a couple of tricky folds. But it's all pretty straightforward. Once you get the folds down, the rest is just assembling again, like most of the rest. So if you look really closely, this one has, I don't know if there's too much glare for you to be able to see, but there's a little crisscross score marks on both sides. It almost looks like a little star of perforation lines, and then 2 straight ones that sort of segment the card into 3 sections. So the first thing we're going to do is fold into those 3 sections so that your card is like, you know, a tri-fold card. Once you've done that, then we're going to go section by section and create sort of the pop fan effect on the edges. So it doesn't matter which side you start on or which angle, but I like to do the X's first, and so they go from corner to corner like that, and from corner to corner like that. And then within those 8 triangles, there's another straight line where you got to fold this in half. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead, flip my card over and do all those same folds, just so that none of them are giving me a hard time about what direction I want them to go. Once I've done that, the goal here is to get the angled ones to fold back and the center one to fold forward. So angles back, center forward, and it just kind of happens like that. Just move slow, don't panic, don't get stressed out or frustrated. Just gently try to maneuver those angles. The angled folds back and the straight center fold forward, and it's just going to create that sort of popped out fan looking effect. And then we're going to go ahead and do it on the other side as well. So angle, angle, center, flip, angle, angle, center, flip, angles go back, center forward, angle back, back, forward, back. All right, and then you have this, like, I don't know if you ever remember building those frogs that you like jump across the table, like origami, or I don't even know what it would be. This way they kind of remind me of. Anyways, so that's our fold for that card. Then you can sort of lay it flat for a minute, and we're just gonna glue all the embellishments down. So this one goes as follows. Same thing, you can take a screenshot or a picture, or just pause the screen at this point and go ahead and use that as a reference point for gluing all of these elements down. And then for the embellishments, once you've glued all the papers down, these I glued the Drink Me and Eat Me both down flat with just a flat paper to paper adhesive, and then it's a triple layer of pops again. So I popped the wreath on, I popped the banner on top of the wreath, and then I popped Alice on top of the banner and wreath. So it's like quite a lot of layers of popping, but it looks really nice. And then when you add in the layers and effect of the fan fold, it's a really fun dimensional interactive card, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So that is card number 3. Next we can do this fun little box card, which I accidentally smushed, it looks like. Just 1 second here. I put the demos away and it got a little bit hot on itself. Like that. All right, so what we have for that one is right here in this bag, and everything you need is in this bag. So the very first thing you're going to do is take your white cardstock, and there's same thing, 2 perforation marks, 2 perforation marks, and we're just going to fold all of those in the same direction. Just like last time, there's no side A or B, so it doesn't matter what direction you pick, but just do them all the same. And then you'll have sort of the outer base for a box like that. Next, we have 1 square piece that does not have any perforation lines or marks in it. It's just 1 solid piece. And then 3 that do have little ticks on the edges to make tabs. They're also, if you look, like I have them set in order so they all line up nicely, but you'll notice there is a right and a wrong way for these hexagons to go. See how now there's barely any space here and lots of space there? We want them all evenly spaced out. That's how our card's going to look the most sort of like down the rabbit hole-y. So my suggestion is to quickly flip them all over while they're in the right direction, and just put a little tick mark on the top or bottom, it doesn't matter. Just a tick mark on the same side of all of them. It doesn't have to be big, just so as you're gluing them together you have a reference point to which side is up. So I've just done a little tick, and now I know I want all the ticks to land on the same side of my base. And I'm going to start with the back one, so the one that has the smallest opening. I'm going to fold these tabs back, so I'm folding so that the white touches the white. So I've got green laying down facing the table, and then I fold the white towards the white. I'm then going to put some score tape down either tab. And glue this into that little case that we just built out of the white cardstock. So for this one, it doesn't matter where our top is because it's the first one going in. So once this one goes in, then we'll have to make sure that we're doing them all the same. But for this moment, it doesn't matter. This one's the trendsetter, not the follower. All right, so once I've glued those 2 tabs down to the sides, it's sort of attached like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing with now there's 2 left. I'm going to take the one again that has the smallest of the 2 openings left. Folding the tab so white's touching white. Then gluing it down. Now I've got to check which side is up and make sure that they're both facing the same direction. Pushing that score tape down on the sides. And then your second one should, look like that. Now we've got enough room there for one last one, which is our one with the largest opening of the three. Folding white to white, putting some score tape down the tabs. Checking which side is up. And gluing the last and final one down. Once I've done that, we'll stick the little top front cover on. Okay. So there we go. We got 3 little layers there. Pop really nicely. It folds down to mail. Now we're just going to glue on this front cover, and we're just going to put score tape down the 2 top strips here to hold that in place. And then you get to decorate. So I'm going to hold up the demo again. Every single one of these embellishments I popped. So I used pop dots to glue down everything because I was just trying to play on all the layers and the dimension in this card. So I will hold it here so you can kind of get a visual reference for how and where I put each of those elements. So, you know, for the first layer, I would have lifted it sort of like this and just tucked my ornament and star in, and then I would have split that next one to sort of tuck my candy in there. Then, you know, just separate them a little bit so you can have some wiggle room to get each element in. And then when it's done, it looks like this. Super fun card. All right, and then next we can do, I'm just gonna get rid of some of this garbage so we have a nice clean space to work. Next we'll do the box card. So this one I find really fun because this one you could so easily do again and again and again, any size, any model that you want, because there's so many templates for boxes on the internet, or if you own a Cameo machine, cut files that create boxes, and then all you have to do is cut out a hole the right size for the box in a plain old card. Like this is just a piece, if that rectangle wasn't there, it's just a plain old card, piece of paper folded in half, and then you cut a hole the size of the box that you want, if you want a big, small, anything in between, and you have this super fun card. Anyways, so for this, I just need you really first quick, there's a whole bunch of perforation marks cut into this, but you need to cut these tabs. So there's 4 spots, so you just have to cut just a little tick from the edge to the score lines so that we can fold those tabs up. Just so that they're free from this centerpiece. So once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and fold all my score lines up again. So everywhere where there's a perforation line, you're just going to fold. It doesn't even have to make sense yet. Just if you see a perforation mark, fold it and fold them all the same way. Okay, once you've done that, you can kind of see already how the box is going to take shape. So all we have to do, so we've just folded everything up. Now we're gonna flip it over, and these 4 tabs that you created by cutting little slits in the paper, we're going to put score tape on. Just on these 4 tabs down here. That's the only glue we need for that. Then you're just gonna fold them up, and it's pretty natural where they go. Like you don't really have a lot of options in the matter. You just fold each of those score lines up, and they're gonna meet with a tab, and you're going to glue those two things together. It's pretty straightforward. And then do not put glue on the final tab, because you want this box to be able to be opened and closed and opened and closed, because you're gonna hide, you know, a cute little chocolate treat or whatever inside of this box. So you want people to be able to open it again. So there we go. Once you've done that, you can decorate the box, and really, I guess you could have decorated the box before. There's just a piece of paper for every side. You just put some glue on and stick it down. And it will then, it'll look like this. I put one on every side. You can also put this piece of paper onto the front of your card. It'll just get glued flat onto there. And then I'll just quickly show you how to build this bow, which goes onto the front of the box. Like if this is where it opens, this is the front here. Now for the bow, there's two pieces. The first thing we're going to do is these two sort of like little scallops or humps there in the center. You're just gonna take with your fingers and start to like mold them, because we're going to be creasing them, but we don't want it to be like a harsh fold. So just kind of warm it up and mold it with your fingers a little bit. Run it between your two fingers to like give it a head start on this process. Then you'll see, again, kind of like the first card we did, there's a slit cut out of the bottom of one side and out of the top of the other. And we're going to join those two parts of this bow together. Once you've done that, you kind of have this little thing. We're gonna put some glue into there, just in the middle area, and we're gonna pinch that down. So I'm just gonna put a small piece of score tape. You don't want to put it all the way across, because you want your bow to have dimension here and here. And if you put score tape all the way across, it's going to hold it too flat, and you won't get that cute bubble look out of your bow. So I'm just gonna put a little bit in the center, just to help hold it in place. Okay, so then it's kind of looks like that. Then we have this piece here, and I'm going to cover the whole piece of that with a strip of score tape. And then we're going to just wrap it around our bow. This is kind of like the glue that holds it all together. So I've just put a piece of score tape on that. I'm going to put it on the front of my bow, wrap it around the back, wrap it around the back, pinch, and there we have a little bow. Then you could glue that to the front of your box, and you have a little present to go on your card. And then last but not least, I added a little bonus card. I've done it as a demo at a couple events, but it's just so cute. I wanted to share it with you all as well. And all that it takes is these few products I have cut into this bag and a 6x12 sheet of paper. You're going to take your 6x12 sheet of paper and fold it in half. It has not been scored or perforated, so you just have to do this one yourself. And you're going to fold it in half so that you have a 6x6 card. Once you've done that, you can pull out all your goodies and sort of set them off to the side for just a moment. We're going to take our 6x6 card that we've folded on the alligator side, so on the side where it opens, not on the side where we've creased, on the side where it opens. We're going to measure from the corner in 3 inches and just draw an itty bitty little tick. It's just for a visual guide, so you don't need it to be big. In fact, you don't want it to be big. You just need to be able to see where it is. So I drew the tiniest little dot with a pen, just so that I can see where that 3 inches is. Now I'm going to just on this front side, so I'm not cutting through the back side, only the front side. I'm going to go from the top corner down to the 3 inches and from the top corner down to the 3 inches. I'll show you what I mean. So there's one. And there's 2. So now that I've done that, I've got this funny shaped card and these 2 extra pieces. So what I'm going to do now is glue these 3 blue snowflake triangles onto the coordinating white cardstock triangles that are the same shape. So it's kind of like that paper puzzle we did earlier on the first card, only with these ones. There will be white space, like a white border, oopsies, around it. I like that sort of bordered look. It adds just a layer and another element, and I think sort of finishes off a little bit. Okay, so that's those 2 triangles. Now I'll do this one as well. Same thing, it will have some white border to it. Then I'm going to put these 2 triangles, I'm going to just sort of set them where they would be had I not chopped my card apart. Had I sort of left it all together, they'd be sitting just like so. Then I'm going to pick a side, any side, doesn't matter which side. I'm going to take that triangle that was sitting right where it was, and I'm going to tilt it in on itself, and then just sort of rest it in place once every point is reached an edge. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the other one. Tilt it in, just like that, and that's where I'm going to glue those 2 triangles onto the front of this card. I'll just grab the demo. So I'm going to glue them down so that they stay like that. I'm going to glue this piece of paper in to the center of my card and then embellish. Same thing, you can take a photo of this or just pause it at this moment and use it as reference. And I popped every embellishment on the front of this card just to add depth and texture, and that is your 6 cards. If anybody has any questions about any of these projects, you can go ahead and call me at the store at 780-414-1540, or you can send an email to scrapbooktm, like the initials of Treasured Memories, scrapbooktm@gmail.com, and I will help you out as best I can. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and these cards, and maybe we'll see you at our next event soon.